We're going to talk about how the State Historical Society actually got the chateau and the properties that we're sitting on. It is not something that we tend to talk about much in terms of interpretation in the chateau. We tend to focus more on the time period that the Marquis and Marquesa were here, which is between 1883 and 1886. There's so much more history that we're missing. Louis Manca, the Duc de Vallombrosa, he was the heir to the Marquis de Mores. In the 1920s, Louis, who had just inherited everything from his parents, his mom died in the 1921, he had agreed to allow the caretakers at the time to turn the chateau into a boarding house and tea room. Unfortunately, during that time period, what he wasn't aware of was they were using his family's belongings. And so things were getting broken, things were getting stolen. And by 1936, he was getting a little exasperated by the situation. But being in France, especially with World War II on the horizon, there wasn't a lot of things that he could do in order to remedy the situation. Russell Reed, who was one of the first directors of the State Historical Society, had actually sent Louis a letter. And in the letter, he had said that we would like, as the state, to take on the chateau. There had been many letters from the public, concerns about how run down it was getting and how it needed to be preserved, and Louis just jumped on it. It was a situation where he was sitting there going, I was looking for something, I needed something, we'll do this, it'll be a nominal fee. And throughout their process of getting to that point, Louis had actually just charged the state $1 for the entire property. And that includes the chateau, Chimney Park, and then from the city, we gained De Mores Memorial Park as well. So that's how we became the site we are now. And the Civilian Conservation Corps came in and started doing the repairs to the chateau. So Russell Reed was sending letters back and forth to the people that were doing the chateau. He was here, he was talking with the last of the caretakers to make sure all the property was properly distributed. And Louis very much kept abreast of this process until 1941 when we opened as a historical site. So we were able to do repairs to the walls where one of the caretakers had actually wanted to work on his car inside the chateau, and it turned the hunting room into a garage. They put an extra door in the side of the wall, and so all of that was put back to how it is now and how it was originally during the time of the family. During the Civilian Conservation Corps time, one of my favorite stories is about the wine cellar. The wine cellar below the kitchen had collapsed, and as they're digging it out, they found the Marquis's wine collection. Now, when the Civilian Conservation Corps was pulling those bottles out, most of them were full. But miraculously, by the time they got to the Historical Society, most of them were empty. And we have had guests come in and that had family members here doing the excavation, and they actually said, yes, they were drinking it. They would talk about how they'd taste it and it'd taste like vinegar, and so they'd pour it out and get another bottle. And the funniest part is this was a dry state, so they're not getting alcohol anywhere else, but they're using what was found in the cellar. It's just so fascinating to think of those little things that we have to get from oral histories, from somebody's memoirs that's not widely known, but it is such a rich part of the history of the chateau and the chateau properties.